What's going on, fellas? Today we're going to be reacting to grading every NBA team's free agency in 2023. Now, it's been an interesting free agency. I mean, the Lakers have made some good off-season moves. It was a shame we lost Dennis Schroeder and Lonnie Walker, but we've done alright, I think. Anyway, we'll see what the man Austin has to say about it.
NBA team's free
Austin
agency.
Sweat.
There's still a couple of guys that haven't been signed and a few anticipated trades that haven't gone down, but I think we've seen enough to
If I'm going to predict who's had the worst, I'm 125% saying the Rockets. I mean, brother, they paid so fucking much for Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, mate.
So let's start first with the Atlanta Hawks, who finished with the 7th seed in the East, only made it into the first round of the playoffs, and all they've done is trade John Collins for Rudy Gay, and then turn him into Patty Mills. They really could have packaged Collins in with someone else and gotten a much better player in return. But to make two separate trades
they need to
and
make more
essentially turn
moves.
this into Patty Mills, they get an F. The Hawks GM may want to start using Brilliant, who's the sponsor of today's video. You see, I had
yeah, I don't care.
It wasn't just helpful in every part of life, and it's especially helpful when going for some of the highest paying times more effects. Personally, I love it because I've been able to start learning more about her. So to try Sweat, subscription to the Boston Celtics.
How fucking long was that fucking promo, mate?
To grading these teams and move on to the.
Alright, is this max quality? Just gotta make sure, lads. Sorry. That's the last time I paused.
Celtics. The Boston
Actually,
Celtics,
probably not,
as always, have outdone themselves. Their roster from last year wasn't cutting it, so they needed to switch things up, and they swapped Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis and 2 first-round picks. They made a major move while keeping their 2 stars together, cleared up some of their own overcrowded backcourt depth, and got another steal of a deal this offseason. A+ for the Celtics. With the Brooklyn Nets, I mean, they didn't do much, but I'm okay with it. They re-signed Cam Johnson and picked up Dennis Smith Jr. and Lonnie Walker on 1-year deals to see if they can have breakout years.
Yeah, Lonnie, he's gonna go hard.
And should try to bring in another star, but there's no rush to do that right now. So I'll give Brooklyn a B. The Hornets signed Miles Bridges again and gave LaMelo an extension. But for a team that finished with the 4th worst record in the NBA, how is this all they've done in free agency? They get a D for me. I don't like any of the moves the Chicago Bulls made. They re-signed Vucevic and Kobe White and brought in 2 role players. This team just needs to understand they're not going to be a good team with this core, so I'll give them a C-. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't really like the makeup of their roster and how it looks on paper, but they were able to steal away Max Strus and add some depth to
Max Strus is big,
Strus
you
really
know,
complements the rest of their starting 5, so it was a solid move. Overall, I'd give them a B. The Dallas Mavericks. They brought in Derek Lively and Rashawn Holmes during the draft, then signed Seth Curry, Dante Exum, and Grant Williams, while re-signing Kyrie and Powell. Honestly, I'd still give them a D. They made
quite a small team though now, isn't it?
To fix the fundamental problems with this team that they had last year. I like the Grant Williams signing. He's like the knockoff Draymond Green, but that's really it. They needed a 3-and-D guy like Jeremy Grant and a big man that can block shots and shoot like Mo Bamba, but they got neither. The Seth Curry signing doesn't make a ton of sense for me since they re-signed Kyrie. And speaking of the Kyrie signing, like, unless they only re-signed him to trade him later on, then I don't get it. Mavs management's making it clear they just don't know how to build a team around Luka. The Nuggets probably get a C just because I know they couldn't do much and the new CBA deal threw them off, but since they lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green,
it's always hard. The off-season, you've won a championship. It's like, how can you fix something that's not broken, but then it's going to be broken the next season? Like, if you there's not going to be any repeat years for the next decade at least. So it's kind of tough.
The Pistons took on Joe Harris's expiring deal, which was a solid move. I mean, they can't do much right now until they see how some of their young guys develop, so I like them taking on bad contracts. B+. As for the Warriors, man, they get a C-. The Jordan Poole for Chris Paul trade is still wild, and they give up an extra first-round pick just to...
See, I don't know why they've done that. Like, Jordan Poole, obviously his IQ is a bit stupid, but he's young, he's the future of the Warriors. Like, Steph Curry's not going to be playing for more than 10... Steph and Clay aren't going to be there for 10 more years. Like, they're already over 30, both of them, I think. I don't know.
To send away their rising star for a 38-year-old. He'll definitely
that's crazy. Chris Paul's almost 40 as well.
I just feel like there could have been some better deals out there. But I wasn't in the front office hearing back all the feedback from the other teams, so I guess I don't know. But it wouldn't be the first time a team's made a terrible trade. They also re-signed Draymond for less than a max deal, which is really solid. But they still didn't get a big man that can shoot, or a single player on their roster over 6'9", which is going to continue to be a problem next season. And losing Dante DiVincenzo hurts, but they're...
Oh, they lost DiVincenzo? Yikes, DiVincenzo was low-key, like, saving
There's
them
none about
some
that.
games.
As for the Houston Rockets, they get an F minus minus.
Hey, called it!
They apparently thought they could try to win now because they had a ton of solid young players on smaller deals and a lot of extra cap room. So their solution was to massively overpay Fred VanVleet and
Horrible.
Dillon Brooks. They signed a couple solid role players too, but this just isn't the move. I saw somewhere else saying that Fred VanVleet was brought in to clean up the culture for this team as a veteran. But if that was true, why would you also overpay Dillon Brooks on an $80 million deal? Both were two of the worst moves this entire offseason. I think I'd give the Indiana Pacers an A+. Everyone slightly overpaid Bruce Brown, but when you have a team as young as they are, to bring in a starter that just played a big role on a championship team, that's more than worth it. Plus, they brought in Obi Toppin for a steal and extended.
I still gotta get myself an Obi Toppin jersey. You know how I feel about my Dunkers. Yeah, nah, that'll be
They did
sick.
everything they were supposed to do and more going into this new season.
And they got hella
The LA
Burton back.
Clippers probably get a C-. They haven't really done anything to improve their team and instead lost Eric Gordon. James Harden's still yet to be traded, but I don't think he's going to wind up in LA. As for the Lakers, they once again have been busy with rebuilding their entire roster and get an A-. The fact
We take those! We take an A-. Come on.
Austin Reeves for gonna been
Yeah,
busy
look
with
at Austin,
rebuilding their
man.
entire roster and get
Oh,
an A-.
God, I love him.
The fact that they signed Austin
Look at him,
Reeves for
man.
$50 million when he was rumored to get $100 million is still wild. Stealing away Gabe Vincent was huge because he can be the new starting point guard, and the rest.
See, and that's why Austin Reeves is just such a humble, inspirational fella. Like, he could have been paid $100 million, but he took 56. That's almost like half his money gone. And he's just happy to be in LA.
These guys they brought in will be solid. The only thing I don't like is keeping D'Angelo Russell, but I guess I can live with it. The Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, no, see, D-Lo, I reckon he's gonna be alright. He's gonna be pretty decent this regular season. Playoffs, when it mattered, he kind of flopped. But hey, regular season, it is 82 games still. He can still help us out in that long run.
C+ grade because they brought in Derrick Rose to mentor Ja, which is perfect. But besides that, all they did was get Marcus Smart for 2 firsts. So another non-shooter is added to the mix. Good move, but maybe not the right scenario. The Heat lost Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and have yet to really do anything else. If Damian Lillard does get traded there in any combination of a trade, they still get an A, and if not, then probably an F. Milwaukee Bucks couldn't really do anything except for bringing more role players. And with them signing both Malik Beasley and Robin Lopez.
Oh, nice! They got Malik Beasley. Whew. Hopefully he gets a lot of playing time when the Lakers verse him, because they won't be scoring shit.
Both moves. So
Amos.
the Timberwolves did nothing of importance, so they get a D. Same for the Pelicans. I'd also give them a D. The Knicks gave up on Obi Toppin but signed DiVincenzo. I would have liked to see them make some more noise in free agency though, so I'll give them a C-. They just can't have the postseason they did, and their roster looking like it does, and then only bring in Dante. OKC on the other hand is still continuing to bring in young players and picks for this team by taking on bigger contracts and injured players. At some point, I'd like to see them make moves towards taking their team to the next level, and I thought this was the perfect season to do that. But apparently they didn't go that route, so I'll just give them a C for now. The Orlando Magic are another team that should have done more, and I've said they needed veterans on this team, and they listened, but they brought in Joe Ingles, who probably isn't the veteran they should have been looking for.
Pringles.
And they waived Bobo, C- for Orlando. For the 76ers, I love the signings of
Also, stop disrespecting Bobo, man. I saw he went to the Suns today, but Bobo is such a... He's a legend of the game, mate.
Mamba and Pat Beverly
Don't disrespect
to come off
them.
of Philly's bench. They're going to be different makers throughout the season, but the James Harden trade request really hurts them, and I highly doubt they're going to get anything of equal value in return. I actually think James is going to at least...
Yeah, what's Mo Bamba going to do when Joel Embiid is their star player? Like, and Mo Bamba, he's made of glass as well. Just remember that. Respectfully, obviously, you don't want players to be made of glass. But Mo Bamba genuinely is. He was alright at shooting. He didn't shoot shit for the Lakers though, but yeah.
Next season with Philly, so for that, only a C+. I have mixed reactions on the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul, 4 firsts and 6 seconds for Bradley Beal. I think they gave us way too much for a 23-point scorer. But I will say they filled the roster out pretty nicely since
the
then,
Suns.
adding some quality role players, but they still...
Hey, they got Watanabe.
Filled the roster out pretty nicely.
That's a shame. Hey, at least we can call CP3 now. I don't have to hate on him anymore. Good on them.
since then, adding some quality role players, but they still currently need a point guard.
They
And
got
I've said
Eric
in the
Gordon
past
as well.
They should
The
trade
hell?
Aiden, but if they don't, he should have a career year playing with 3 dominant
They got no
scorers.
defense.
And since I can at least appreciate the Suns fully committing and going all in, I'll give them a B. For the Portland Trailblazers, they waited so long and never traded Lillard, so now they found themselves in a situation where they can only really trade him to the Miami Heat and aren't going to get his true value in return, and that's on them. I do still like the Jeremy Grant signing though, because now they can still trade him down the line. If they were going to keep him as a part of their team, he was probably paid properly, but if they were only going to sign him to use him as a future trade, I think they kind of overpaid him, so they might have trouble finding a deal for him too. Overall, this offseason's been a mess so far for Portland, so I'll give them a D+ right now, but it
Damn.
could be raised seeing how the Lillard situation ends up. The Kings didn't do
Yeah.
too much because they didn't need to, but I actually love the signing of the reigning EuroLeague MVP. He's a stretch forward and it was a great gamble for this team to make, so A+ for the Kings.
Real EuroLeague MVP. That could be very interesting coming into this. And yeah, obviously the Kings are already a really good team. Definitely a team I don't want to play. So that'll be interesting seeing how the Kings go next
Nobody
season.
has really been expecting much from the Spurs because they need to see how Victor plays in the league first. So I'll give them a B+ for now. The
Pretty
Toronto
cool, though.
Raptors are apparently doubling down on winning even after losing Fred VanVleet, and while Pascal Siakam's been involved in a lot of trade talks. D- for them going in that direction and for not just breaking this team up, especially when they didn't get any better. The Utah Jazz really do get an A+ for being able to bring in John Collins in exchange for Rudy Gay. His contract's pretty big for his output recently, but they're in no rush to win anything right now, so it was the perfect gamble for this team to try to get him back on the pace he once was. As for the Wizards, the Bradley Beal trade was massive for them. They basically were able to trade him for Jordan Poole, 5 firsts, and 6 second-round picks. But the fact that they traded away Porzingis and Boston was the one who got 2 first-round picks, while they basically only got Tyus Jones, is still a little questionable. At the same time, though, they did re-sign Kyle Kuzma. Listen, they got 2 great
Kuzma
deals
and
and a
Poole.
questionable one, and now have a great potential starting lineup in the first year of a rebuild. So I'd give them a B+. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed.
Hey, are the Wizards on the come up? A few seasons time, who knows, man. Anyway, cheers for watching, fellas. Catch you next time.